Hey Baruch, how you doing today?
Thank God, Jeremy. How are you?
Doing incredibly well and a little bit excited and a little bit sad and a little bit of all kinds of
Right?
emotions. This is our second to last show for this season at least, and I don't even know how to react to it.
It really is interesting because like we still got what's going on, but then it's also like, well, in 2 weeks from now, we're not going to really have. I mean, we still have what's going on, but this, which has been a huge part of our life for the last number of months, is like it's not going to be there as
Yeah.
much. So it's weird, but I also know that it's um, an opportunity for so much more to happen
Oh
and
yeah.
for so
I
much
mean,
more to come on. And I'm excited for what's next.
yes, absolutely. And I mean that also ties into that discussion about,
Hmm.
recovery, whether it's a blessing or a curse, and we're going to hear from today's phenomenal guest, so much about that and so much was going on also behind the scenes in the what we call here the
Oh
pre-show.
yeah. Oh yeah.
And I mean it's really that whole idea of like, when we go into this idea of recovery, which we'll talk about what that actually means. Um but that whole principle of like these struggles and these hardships that we're going through and then how we interpret them, and then once we're in this, in this road of this, you know that this new life, in a sense, this meaningful life, what does that actually look like? How,
Right.
that there's this pull, right? And that's a big part of what we spoke about today and what we're going to talk further today. So what are your thoughts? Should we
Well,
bring her in, or
without further ado, and I'm going to say this with all utmost pride for being able to actually pronounce the name. Oh God, Beata No, I got it right in the pre-show.
Let me help you
Okay,
with this.
one more time. Beata Zdanowska, right?
there it is.
Oh
Yes.
my God, bravo.
Thank you.
We had a good couple of minutes of practice for, before
Yes.
before the pre-show and everything, and
Oh,
we got it. Beata Zdanowska, our
Thank you for joining
incredible
us.
guest
it's a
today.
tongue
Thank you so
twister,
much.
and you're welcome.
Love it.
Let's love it. Okay, one second. I know we're going to get a little sidetrack here. What is the meaning of the name?
Mm,
What
Oh,
does like translate
so
to?
Beata actually comes from Latin, and
Okay.
it's present in different languages because of that root, and it means blessed and happy for the most part in Italian.
Wow.
So the word in English word beatification is the same root, comes
wow.
from the same
Wow.
meaning. You're making saints, so you're talking to semi-saintly personality. No,
Wha
sorry.
That works for me. Well, my
Yes,
name
I
in
love it.
Hebrew, my name Baruch also means blessing.
Oh my
So
gosh,
look at this.
Mhm.
look at
That's
this.
Wow.
There are
incredible.
so
The
many
energies,
synchronicities here.
right?
Wow, that's incredible.
That is
Wow.
incredible.
This is
Wow.
Well,
going to be
okay,
an
so
incredible
let's
show. I could see
this
it.
is this is gonna be awesome already. Let's get right to it. So tonight's guest is Beata Zdanowska. She is a certified life coach and NLP practitioner based in New York City. She guides leaders who are ready to create change and heal their communities to awaken and empower their natural strengths and transform limiting patterns. Sorry. She accomplishes that through trigger mapping, reframing self-talk, and raising EQ.
Mm,
Beata incorporates the philosophies of NLP, human design, gene keys, HeartMath Institute, and EFT Tapping with the mindset work of Transformation Academy. She has graduated from Tony Robbins University and Leadership Academy and is now training to become a senior leader in his programs.
wow.
Beata's passion is a conscious, exponential EQ growth over a lifetime. When she is not coaching her clients, she is reading or listening to Brene Brown, diving into NLP, Gene Keys wisdom, meditating, debating on Clubhouse, dancing the Argentine tango, traveling
Ooh,
or walking and biking in local parks. There is so much here, and it is all so
Oh
awesome. I'm
wow.
going to take down some notes here because I got some questions for you. But in the meantime, why don't you tell us more from like in your perspective what it is that you currently do, and then how did life take you there? Like, what was the journey that got you there from wherever it was that you started?
Thank you so much. First of all, thank you for having me on the show. It's a
Of
great
course.
pleasure. I love the energy, and I feel it's a privilege to be here and part of the service with you guys.
oh,
So what I feel that I do is I'm in constant transformation myself, and I invite other people to it.
Wow.
I've discovered a great value in incorporating change into life. We do have a saying of change is hard. And
Mm.
it can be challenging to change anything, right? We get stuck and have unhappy lives because we don't know how to take a step, how to break through, how to move from two. We don't even understand what the two looks like or feels like or should be like. So there is a lot of loss, there is a lot of confusion. I have clients on different levels actually, and just most recently, I was just had a fascinating conversation with a young lady born in Poland, lives in London,
Mm.
and has a double PhD in chemistry and engineering. And she
Wow.
has all kinds of brilliant ideas, and she got stuck in a system of working for other people, for companies, for businesses, and she constantly feels unfulfilled in life, like
Oh yeah.
things are missing, and
Mm.
being completely lost in what does it mean, where am I, where should I be, where should I go. So we had this conversation about, what are you made for, what is your soul and your heart yearning for, what are you looking for, what do you feel that you are capable of. So we start discovering this, we start to have this long conversation about where she's at versus where she wants to be versus where people see her, where
Mm.
she really is,
Wow.
and what is she's capable for. And it turns out that most people from her closest circle call her Maria, after Marie Curie, which was a Polish scientist that discovered
Mm.
X-ray, right?
Right.
She worked and studied in France for a long time, and just so it happens that this young lady has an a chemistry the PhD that she actually accomplished in French. So in France, so they call her Little Marie, and the question was, um, from me to her, like, why, what stops you from actually being someone like her? People already
Hmm.
call you that. You have all the skills, you have all the brilliance behind you, and why are you not creating something
Right.
rather than working for other people? And
Wow.
she stopped in her tracks thinking, I never thought of that.
Mm.
I thought I
Wow.
was supposed to work for other people. I said, well, what if you don't?
Mm.
What if you're supposed to be creating something that changes this planet, that changes the humanity, that helps humanity somehow? You already are Little Marie, right?
Right.
But you are
Right.
not her. You are you. You have a completely different background. You live in a different century. You have way more capabilities and skills and help and techniques and technologies available to you right now. What can you create? Who can you be? Who can you become if you really incorporate all of your knowledge and your passion and your intuition
Right.
and
Mm.
your and the love of what you're doing, because she clearly loves the field she's in.
Sure.
She's extremely passionate about it. So what can you create rather than how can you
Wow.
sell yourself? how
Mm.
can what can you create with what you have in your hands and available to you, rather than what are you selling right now to somebody else? And so I was bombarded by maybe 40 voice messages the next day from her. Oh, and I can do this and I can do that, and I have this idea and then that idea. Maybe I just need to have this skill and that skill, and I know where to go and I know how to get this, but I have this vision.
Mm.
And now we are talking, right? Like the vision comes out.
Mm.
I have degrees, I have knowledge, I have skills, but what is the higher purpose that I'm here, that I'm feeling in within me, right? What is that deeper vision? What is that more out there that I am connected to?
Mm.
So we often get stuck in life, in the very unhappy places, right? Because as Tony Robbins says, we live the blueprint of other people. Like,
Mm.
you will live the life as it should be, and the should is the conditioning that's decided by people around us,
Right.
right? Like we
Right.
should get married, we should have children by certain age, we should have certain degrees, we should. And if we don't, then something is not working, something's wrong with us, and then
Mm.
then we struggle, right? I can't then we are unhappy because we can't feel successful, we can't feel, we're not fulfilled as parents or as individuals in love connection relationships,
Mm.
because we don't have what we are supposed to have as by other people's standards.
Mm.
So what is your blueprint if you were to write it for yourself, on your own, by yourself? What would you write for you?
Does that
Because
mean that I have to create my own should? Could I just tell?
yes,
I say my,
yes,
like, this is what I should, but I mean I'm defining that should, not other people are defining, but me.
exactly. You know what you are connecting with.
Right.
We all have this thing called intuition, which
Mm.
oftentimes we don't really listen to. We
Right.
confuse
Right.
it with other feelings and emotions. But we all have intuition. We all know what we are capable of. We all feel the urge, the desire for something. And when we do, it's for a reason. There is a reason out there that we need to find for ourselves. So what is that? What does happiness mean to me? What do I want? What does it look like? And apparently it's always connected with service,
Yeah.
Mm.
right? It's always connected with service. We can't be happy on our own. We do need time alone. We do need sometimes, some people need more than others. But eventually what life is about sharing and about giving. It's about service. It's about what can I do for you?
Right.
I can be happy by myself reading and writing and playing music and connecting with my hobbies, and that will give me a little rest time, that will give me a little seclusion from the world where I recharge my energy. But the real happiness, the real passion, the real energy forward comes from me connecting with you,
Mm.
Wow. That's
me
powerful.
Wow.
sharing with you, me giving to you, me helping you, me guiding you, me doing something that you find useful and helpful, right? So I got into this business because of that. I always felt like I need to connect with people on that level.
Mm.
I need to be someone who can open somebody else's eyes to a blind spot.
Yeah.
I've been through a lot of different changes in life. Life has challenged me in many different ways. Little trigger warning for maybe some women listening there. There were pregnancy that I've lost few pregnancies, and one of them was a 5-month-old baby girl,
Mm.
and that was extremely traumatic. So, speaking about recovery,
Right.
that took a lot. I
Mm.
also had later in life, both of my parents passed away within 5 months of each other, and I'm the only child.
Wow.
Wow.
So, speaking about another part of recovery, and they were away in Poland, and I was here, and I needed to leave the job, and no one's waiting for me. I'm helping. My mom passed away first. My dad completely fell apart. He
Mm.
lost hope.
Yeah.
He lost hope that life has anything else, you know, for him as an individual. He was so connected to my mom, so
Mm.
it was really codependency more like, and we tried and we did what we could, but so when you lose that connection with the life force,
Mm.
it's not much anyone can do, right? It's our own responsibility if we want this life to happen or we don't. And my father chose that he doesn't,
Mm.
and his decline was very fast. So then my recovery has happened so many times on so many different levels, and I know how challenging it is, and I
Right.
know how much I needed to prepare for this. I know how much I needed to learn. I took a number of different courses, and I went through Landmark, I went through life coaches, I went to psychotherapists, I went to all kinds of professionals, people that
Mm.
were able to help me to find a way through the struggle, to transform, to find the light behind the shadow.
Right.
So, but you have to face the shadow. You have to
Mm.
you understand the value of life and the gift and the gratitude when you dive deep into your shadows, and you understand them and you live them and you feel them. And then you figure out that every lesson comes with a blessing.
Mm.
Every even
Right.
the hardest one, even the hardest one has a blessing hidden for
Yeah.
you, for your life, because we are meant to evolve. We are meant to transform as human beings. We are
Hmm.
meant to move forward constantly.
Yeah.
Right.
So
I love how you tied your story right into
Yeah.
that recovery blessing and curse topic, because you're right, it's really that journey. It's really
it
that,
is.
and I'm so sorry for your losses. And I mean, oh my goodness,
Thank
like
you.
I would not know how to deal with these kind of level of losses. So, I'm sorry for your loss and stuff. And, our
Thank
hearts go
you.
out to you. And that's the hard part of this kind of discussion, the terms of, that struggle, that deep struggle. And sometimes, like there's all kinds of different struggles, and some, greater than others, the trauma, all that kind of stuff. And what I was hearing based on what you were sharing, and especially from, your story early on, and, you know, like how you helped this woman and stuff like this, it's like, I often say that there's really, really special souls out there in the world who go through these different, crazy life experiences, and all kinds of different, everybody has their one, or multiple or whatever. But it's very evident to me, and based on what you were sharing, is that you've channeled your struggles, and you've chosen that recovery path in a sense, and you've chosen to find that blessing, and you've chosen to not allow that struggle really take you down and break you apart, but really grow and become this stronger, Beata that you are. And you shared with us that it's blessing, you're really taking that blessing and you're really shining it out to everybody else. So I very much appreciate that, how you were able to take your journey into that recovery, you know, into that whole part of really shining for everybody else.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And that's, it's really, th- I'm stumbling now because it's hard to talk about myself. but,
Right.
but I've heard many comments from many different people, and that was another reason why I decided that I would love to just dive into the life coaching world and become one. So I did, during pandemic time. And the reason is that every time I shared my story to someone that I would be vulnerable with, I would get the same exact reaction. Oh my God, I don't know if I could handle this. Oh my God, I don't know if I could go through this. Oh God, oh my God, I don't know. I wouldn't even know where to start. Like I would be depressed in a hospital by now. I would be dependent on my family by now. And I've heard it so many times that it really, just woke up this need in me, this
Mm,
passion of like, you know uh, yes, I get it, it's very hard, but that is not your life journey. We're not
mm,
supposed to step back and take it in and dissolve, with this energy of depression
sure.
and struggle, because the struggle is here to make us stronger, like you said, Yermi. We are supposed to grow, we are supposed to develop the skills, right? We're supposed
Mhm.
to get more resilient.
Yeah.
And you know the mindset, right? The mind is such a powerful thing. It just wants to tell us all the negative messages. The moment you open your eyes in the morning, the mind goes, oh my God, you know
Mm,
what am I struggling with today?
yeah.
Right? I mean, that's the negativity is always there. It's like it's a default for the whatever million old minds that we have. So the important part, of all the technologies we have, the NLP, for example, right, which is connecting the neural processing with the languages, with the behavioral, habits that we have. We know today that all of life is energy. We know also that it's all in a vibration. Everything is an energy. Everything is a vibration, and it's not. We're not changing anything by meeting somebody else's vibration. We are changing something by raising our own. And
Right.
the raising of the vibration is with growth, with change, with challenge. Yes, it will be difficult. Yes, it will be hard. But you will learn things you have never known before that will make you stronger and prepare you for the next thing in life. You might be also able to help other people with it. You will be stronger for your children. You will be stronger for for your family, for your friends, for your community. I focus on leaders because I believe we are all leaders. We lead ourselves first, right? Me first, always. If I can't do it for me, I will not be able to do it for anybody else.
Sure.
So lead myself, lead your family, lead your church, lead your community, lead your workspace. Be a leader that creates change and invites vulnerability where strength blossoms, because the more we can be open with one another, the more we can meet each other on the level of the basic humanity of here's what I'm struggling with.
Sure.
Right.
The more we can work together and find the tools and build the strength and create the resilience and recover from what happened, right? We can create our recovery road. Some of us are stronger than others, obviously, and it's based on how many times we've been through this.
Sure.
The first time around is always the most difficult, but if you have done this few times, like I have, you are learning that every time you have a chance to learn something different, every time you meet someone more inspiring, every time, if you are willing to go through the recovery, you will find your path. You will find something else about that you didn't know. You will discover something that you can get passionate about, right? You can connect on a higher level, because everything that happens to us, I truly believe, it happens because we are ready for it. We are ready to receive it.
Wow.
We wouldn't be challenged with anything if we are not ready to accept it. And now this is where the mindset work kicks in, right? I'm either taking the road of, okay, I was this person, who can I be from now going through this experience? Who am I creating? Who am I being going through this experience? What's my gifts from this? Right?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm hearing. I'm hearing that you're now giving us that meaning of recovery. What does recovery mean? It's in a sense that here I was through all these hardships and these challenges, and like you were sharing, like you went through a few of them, and what you've essentially have done is that you took that hardship, transformed that hardship, did the work that you had to do in it, work through, your hardship and stuff, and then your recovery, you see it as a path, and you see it as, okay, now it's on to me, it's now on to me to help others, in a sense. And
Yes.
I'm hearing that that's how you're defining recovery.
Yes.
Baruch, I thought I saw you kind of give it like a motion that you had something to say about that. Or
no, I mean, it was just like, again, that's what I'm getting from this is that, recovery is that process of taking that which we're presented with and that which, so to speak, happens to us, and utilizing it, which really kind of leads into the next thing and turning it into a blessing. We have a saying in Judaism, I'm going to butcher it because my brain is just in that place right now. Um, gosh, okay, it's something along the lines of, and Jeremy, you'll say it properly, hopefully. God doesn't give us a challenge that we can't handle, and whether it's specifically a Jewish thing or just it's a saying I've heard a lot, and it's always been referenced as a Jewish saying. Anything that happens to us, it's God is giving it to us as an opportunity for us to learn from and to grow from, no matter what it is. And I've also oftentimes heard that, well, if we keep experiencing the same thing over and over and over again, it's because there's still a lesson that we have not yet learned. And I think Val, that you were talking about this a little bit. Is it, well, then we got to learn that. So I have a question for you now, which we can attach it to the topic of recovery as a blessing. If recovery is taking these challenges and utilizing it and turning it and learning something from it, which in effect ends up becoming a blessing, which, by the way, interesting thing I just not recently learned, but I recently relearned. So we were talking about how, I don't know if this was on the live show or if this was on the live show right now. So your name and my name both mean blessing. In Judaism, the Hebrew word baruch actually means to draw down. It doesn't mean straight up blessing. It means to draw down. So it was an interesting thing that because I guess we're drawing down what God has in store for us. But my question is as follows. In the process of taking that recovery and, going through the recovery and taking the challenges and turning it into blessings, let's call it, what are practical steps that people can take? Because oftentimes we go through things and it's a gut punch after gut punch. And so what are some simple steps, or what are some steps we can take to look at these challenges, to recover from them and turn them into blessings?
Very good question.
I'm asking for a friend. I'm asking for myself.
Well, first of all, we have to realize that, if we're going through something traumatic, if we're going through a struggle, something that is very heavy and it's very hard to take, first of all, don't blame yourself, because that is something that as human beings, we start taking on ourselves and beating ourselves for, whatever happens to us. Life does not happen to us, right? We are not the victim of the circumstance. It might look like it might feel like it temporarily, but trying to step back and seeing the event, whatever the event is, as of, part of a chain reaction rather than a singled out event, but it's a part of a chain reaction that it's attached to other people, other situations, other events. This is just one link of a chain of the growth, of the process, of the journey of life, right? So stepping back, to just not to leave the guilt, to leave the to leave all the negative emotions that are growing within, because again, the mind will go into the negative first. Just remembering that and treating yourself with a little bit of love, giving yourself a little bit space and time for processing the feelings and emotions. And I'm a huge fan of Brene Brown, and whoever isn't, doesn't know her name yet, please just run, Google, and watch and read everything that she has ever done, said, and posted, and published. The woman is brilliant, speaking about vulnerability and shame, feelings and emotions. I'm addicted now to the Atlas of the Heart, the book and the show that's also on HBO, based on the book, which is fantastic. She leads it. There's a small audience, and people are sharing the feedback about feelings and emotions and what they mean and how we actually process them, and how we are surrounded by that, and how ashamed we can be with what we feel about what happens to us, what life brings us to us, and how these emotions can run life for us,
right,
instead of us understanding that it's part of a human life, and it's part of our human build. It's okay to feel things. So let me feel what I need to feel for as long as I need to feel it until it runs out of my system. So my brain can actually see clearly, the steps that are actually available to me, people that are available to me, institutions that are available to me, communities that are available to me. Who can I reach to? Because in the time of hardship and a struggle, it's very hard to be alone. So if we can reach out to someone that we can feel comfortable and safe with to share the story and ask for help, please do, because you're not alone. You never are. We all have stories. We can connect through our stories. We can empathize with each other based on what we've been through. So you never do feel alone. So, so step back, allow yourself to feel whatever needs to be felt. If you need to cry for 2 days, cry for 2 days. If you need to just close the door and don't speak to anyone and just process whichever way it is for you, just do that. Connect with someone as a next step. Start a conversation. Use your language as a part of cleansing process of whatever happened. Tell your story a million times to someone who's willing to listen. And if you don't have anyone that's willing to listen, record yourself and hear it.
Wow.
Just be with yourself.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Be with the feelings, be with the emotions. And after you process, after this first wave of the feelings and the emotions that are taking over for the event that happened, after that sort of subsides slightly, the brain starts kicking in and the ideas start coming in. The conversations with other people will help, people will include you in the communities that you belong to. And from that moment on, you can find your own path. You can start looking for what that path is for you. What does that mean for you? We are all different. We have similar stories. We have similar struggles, but how we process them is different. It's very individual, and it's okay. We don't have to be ashamed. We don't have to be running away from that. We don't have to hide behind a closed door forever because we are ashamed of something happened, right? Like how many times someone is abused and it's a shame to even admit to it because the victim is taking actually the responsibility for the whole action, right? And it happens all the time. So have a trust, trust that there are humans out there that want to help you and be with you and be in the process with you, and find what the path is for you.
That's incredible.
Listen to yourself. Human design, Gene Keys has helped me a lot to process all the so-called struggle, moments and situations. We come, we have a capacity where we are so powerful as humans, and we don't want to believe that. We refuse to believe how powerful we can be, how powerful we already are. We don't we are fearful. We hide behind anxieties and stresses and fears because we are afraid to take a step towards something different that we haven't discovered yet or experienced yet. But by limiting ourselves, we can't discover the power, the energy, that the real person that's hiding, the real power person that's hiding within. And with the Gene Keys, it's a brilliant system. Richard Rudd came up with the system, and he's an incredibly beautiful storyteller. So each Gene Key, and it's just a mapping of who we are as personalities and energies and feelings and emotions based on the entire life, basically. But it's a huge system. It takes a long time to explain, but it's like in a very short nutshell. But every Gene Key is designed in 3 layers: in the shadow, the gift area, and the higher self area. The idea is that we have access to all 3 all the time. We do have the shadow part, right? We struggle with something. We have the dark the darkness of the soul. We do have those little corners where we are, we don't really want to share with people for all kinds of reasons, right? All kinds of shameful reasons. And then we have this higher self person who has all the answers, always knows what's best for us. It's that intuition, this high intuition thing, right? I know what's best for me. I don't need you to tell me this. I might need your encouragement to help me to say that. But I don't need you to tell me what it is, right? Because I already know. I just don't trust myself. I don't trust myself enough to know that that's the answer. And that's where I'm going to. And that gift area is the journey that takes from the shadow, from the darkness to that higher self. It's the journey that I am creating for myself. I'm capable of turning from this to that. In every area of life, we all are capable of healing ourselves, of finding that recovery, of knowing what that journey is like for us. We all know that. We give in to the limiting mindset that that we are also equipped with. That is sort of like a stumbling block. It will always find the reason with what's wrong with that system. It will always find why this might not work. What is, don't do anything new. The mind will always tell you, don't go to the new. It's dangerous. We don't understand new.
Yeah.
We very well understand what already happened. That is safe. That it's secure. We don't need anything else. Let's just stay in this, okay? Don't touch the newness because it's danger.
Well,
and it's running, and it's like a running script 24/7.
Because what I'm hearing is, I'm sorry, it's just that I just want to like, because there's so much you're saying here, and it's like, wow, it's like mind blowing. And just to kind of like give it back to the audience, in short, what you're saying is that the blessing of the recovery is the blessing you give yourself, is that gift that you give yourself. And I think we shared this earlier in the pre-show, that there are individuals who really, really stand in their own way, in a sense, and they're just blinded to this potential that they have, and they're blinded to, and they're stuck in this rut, and they're constantly in this, what we call, Baruch and I, we call it the captivity. They're captive to their mental prisons, in a sense, or what you were sharing earlier in that gene thing, is that gene key, is that they're in this, in this cave or in this darkness, that they're not seeing their potential. They're not seeing what it is that they're missing. And so, in a sense, what I'm hearing you share is that give that blessing to yourself, like break free of this, and the blessing will not just show up at your door and say, hi, I'm here. It's the blessing that you have to give yourself, in a sense. It's that unlocking and breaking free of that stuff. And Baruch, were you going to share something earlier about
There's something else that I noticed that I want to highlight is, one of the things that you mentioned about it is that the way it came out in my mind was, oftentimes we get so focused on, let's say, what's wrong or our recovery or whatever it is. We're so internally focused on everything going on. We need to focus on it for as much time as we need to, but then we need to release it. And what came to my mind is that it's only once we're able to free up that space inside of us, mentally, emotionally, wherever it may be, then we're able to welcome in the new life, the new possibility. And I just had this visual in my mind as you were explaining that it's literally, it's like emptying out what's inside and welcoming in, what else is possible. When I was dating, I used to have the saying, actually, unfortunately, I didn't have the saying, because it was only at the end. But at the end, I realized I needed to coin a saying, which was, let go and let God. Give up and give in. And I was trying so hard to control my dating life, and it wasn't progressing the way I wanted it to, because I was trying to control my dating life instead of letting God, show me what he had in store. And once I was able to again, let go and let God, or give up and give in, and I made that space for him, then everything just lined up. I met my wife, and so on and so forth. The rest is history. So that was one of those things that you said that really just stuck out to me, was like, oh, we need to make that space within us, empty ourselves of all that which we had gone through. And again, and I love that you mentioned, like, we have to process that. You have to sit in it, and you have to be there for as long as possible, because a lot of people, and honestly, I'm guilty of this myself, and not just for myself, but for other people. I've tried with certain people to push them to recover faster, when in reality, no, we need to sit in it, and sit in it for as long as you need to, so that then you can release it and then move on. So I just, thank you for that reminder. There's like, this is, I do the recaps, and it's going to be so difficult to break this one up, because there's so much, there's like little pockets of
it's brilliant
brilliance and wisdom, but it's also a part of a bigger picture. So this is going to be an interesting one, but thank you so much so far.
And Baruch, I just wanted to highlight I just wanted to highlight exactly what we were just sharing now. The reason why, that coining of that, that coining of that term, or that realization came at the end, was not that it came at the end, like you went through. This was your process that you went through. And then the moment you realize, like, wow, I need to invite the blessing in, that caused the end of your struggle of finding the right wife and finding the right. And that's what invited that blessing in, to have, your incredible wife that you have, and, that I'm so privileged to, that this friendship that we have here, it's that blessing that you really, really have, came because you allowed it to happen. You opened up that door, which, this kind of also transitions us to, the last part of the discussion that we wanted to share, that, just as much as recovery is a blessing, it's also kind of a curse. Because I mean, like, now you're in this system of seeing this recovery and seeing this thing, that now there's a component of it that is, quote unquote, a curse. But right before we go into having that discussion, because that does, that's how we end our show, is on that last kind of segment. But before we do that, I do want to remind everybody that tomorrow, Thursday, at 7 p.m. Eastern time, we do have our clubhouse, where we opened up the discussion to you, the audience, everybody else. We invite you into this discussion to come and have discussions with us. And, something that Baruch and I are super proud of is that we feel that we created a clubhouse, that like a clubhouse room that you probably will not find anywhere else on Clubhouse, where you really get a chance to talk. An average person on our platform talks for close to 10 minutes each person. Time allowing, depending on the size of our group. But we have 3 questions. It's this fire chat kind of thing that goes on, and everybody has about 3 or so minutes to talk. So you don't have to fight for your voice. You don't have to anything. You're empowered to come in and share with us. We want to hear what you have to say. And it's a room that everybody celebrates one another. So we are extremely proud, and we would love to see you there tomorrow, 7 p.m. at, in the clubhouse. So everybody that's watching, please join. It's going to be one of your awesome conversations where you get to share about this. Today we're talking about recovery, and tomorrow we're going to talk about how recovery could be a blessing and a curse, and we'd love to hear your inputs. So without further ado, Beata, recovery as a curse. What does that look like? And you had something to say about that you shared earlier.
Well, there is a lot to say about that too. I don't like to focus on it as much because it sort of sounds discouraging, right? Like, don't recover because you can suffer from this. But there are definitely warning signs, right? About every recovery. And like one thing that really stands out for me is, we can get addicted to absolutely anything.
Right.
We can get addicted to the feeling of recovering, to the point that we don't want to recover. We just want to stay on a journey. Because we find something that we connect with, and it resonates, and because we've just been through some, difficulty, through emotional hardship, and we just found something that feels much better, right? And it's a very easy connection, then we just want to stay. It just let's indulge in this without, without any kind of a goal or a higher purpose or the next step. It's just okay,
Right.
I've arrived in the feeling of, of this wonderful feeling. I can just rest here,
Now I could
right?
kick
And yeah, I can take a break.
back.
Which is okay to take a break for, for whatever time being, right? Just to recognize the journey itself, but also having that vision of, where is it that I'm going to, what am
Mhm.
I breaking through to? Because it's not just the breakthrough of, that needs to happen. It's not just that journey. It's not just that recovery that needs to happen. It's it's having the understanding and a vision of knowing, where am I going? Where do I really want to be? So
Mhm.
going back to that blueprint, that's the I'm going away from the blueprint that somebody else has written for me. What is my own?
Right.
What does it look like on all of my life levels? Am I there? So
Mm.
if I consider myself, recovering and, going through this recovery, but what is how am I envisioning myself already done, already
Mm.
recovered from this particular whatever issue it is in my life? What does it look like? What do I feel like? Who am I with? What am I doing? How am I working? How am I connecting with people? What are my, what are my hobbies?
Mm.
What is like, specifically, what does my life look like when I'm done with it?
Right.
Right. So,
Right.
and if I and constantly remembering that that's the journey I'm going to.
Mm.
So if I'm not there yet, then I need to keep going.
Right.
And then, then there is also, the addiction of, oh, what else can I recover from? I mean,
Mhm.
I've really, I've gotten so good with this, like, let me find something else to recover from, rather than just, keep growing in a direction. So we can rebound into, going the back and forth, doing the back and forth
Mm.
energy of life, which, it doesn't really take us forward so much, right? It doesn't go into the future as much, and it's just we are always kind of connected to the past. We need this sort of line connection with the past in
Right.
order to feed myself today, rather than I've been through this. I understand the process. Now I'm here. What am I creating that's new? Right, that
Mm.
I don't need this anymore. I took my lessons, I took my wisdom from that, and how am I building something new based on that wisdom? So it's a
That's
constant evolution.
and
Wow.
that's so important what you say, because and I see this a lot, and I have a lot of discussions with people, and they're like, "Oh, you're just one of those coaches," and I'm like, "Yeah, no, not exactly. I'm very different than that." But and we have this discussion because we unpack this thing of like, well, what do you have a problem with coaches? And what typically happens is that a lot of coaches fall into this trap in a sense where they think like, okay, I did all this work and I did all this recovery in a sense, and I'm good. Now I can help other people. And what tends to happen, and I've seen this a lot, and myself included sometimes, where I see the answer so clearly, because I've done all the work, that I see another person who has this, block in front of them, and I see it so clearly that there's a block, and I kind of like sometimes I feel like grabbing somebody and just like shaking them, like wake up kind of thing. Um, but I have to remind myself that it's their journey, and whatever that means. My job as I call myself a partner, really, a life partner in that
Hmm.
sense, a business partner in that sense, because my job is only to be there as much as you need me to be there, that guide or that external or that observer in a sense. But I cannot come in and live that life for you. And I cannot wake you up. And I cannot, and that to me is my interpretation of that recovery as a curse, that here I am. I care so much about the people that I work with, but I have to like stop myself and remind myself that it's their journey. They are the ones on their journey. I'm still on my journey. I'm still recovering, and I'm still growing, and I'm still, whatever. Um, but I have to also remember that just because I see their blind spot, they have to come to their understanding. They have to come see their own blind spot,
Yes,
and
yes.
I have to just humble myself, and I have to push my ego away. It's not about me, it's about them.
Yeah.
And I have to kind of like move to the side for that, and give them the space to discover on their own, find their own blessing, write up their own blessing,
Well,
draw.
that's the true essence of life coaching. Sorry for
Yeah.
interrupting. It's not telling people how to live. It's asking
Mhm.
them questions to
Yeah.
help them realize how do they live and how would they rather, and
Right.
how can they get there, right? It's not like you say, but it's easy when we are basing on our own experiences. It's easy to
Right.
get lost in that, right? Like I know and I can tell you.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
yes, so we can
You
get
want to?
we can get addicted to a lot of different parts of the process. We can also get addicted to learning, right? And it feels right. It feels like I'm making progress because I'm constantly learning something. But the
Mm,
true the true recovery, the success of any change, and I see recover as change. It's a process of change,
mm,
and the true change happens when we take action.
right.
Right.
It's not just in a conversation, in understanding and comprehending the issue, in feeling the feelings. It's about all that plus action. If we
Right.
don't take action, nothing moves, nothing goes,
Mm,
nothing is actually changing. We are just understanding the process of change, but we are not processing the change
Right.
until
mm,
we take, as Tony Robbins says, massive action.
yes.
Ask the right questions. Ask the questions about everything that you are curious about. How to, where to, with whom, what's
Yeah.
the system I can use, how can I do this and that, and plan for your own journey. What is your blueprint? What are you basing this on? What is the story you're writing for yourself? And take action to make it happen.
Mm,
Because it's easy to get stuck in a curse of constant learning and getting nowhere. It just we can have 20, we can have numerous different PhDs, but we can never really do right. But we can
yeah.
never we won't accomplish anything until we take action and having all the knowledge that's already under the wings. So
Yeah. My mentors
it's how.
always say your breakthrough is only as good as your follow through. You can have
There
the
you
world's
go.
greatest breakthrough, but if you're not going to follow through on it, you're not going to get anywhere. Another thing is everybody says knowledge is power, and it's completely wrong. Applied knowledge is power, but knowledge
Yeah.
on its own, having knowledge, it doesn't get you anywhere.
Yes.
So that's incredible.
It's recycling information, when you don't take knowledge anywhere
Yeah.
by true action. So yeah, I'm curious actually, Yirmi, you said something about a curse that was interesting, and I'm blanking on it, but it was a very good point you had about the curse on the recovery. Can you tap on that again, please?
Yeah. I mean, we are coming towards the end of the time, so we do have to wrap up. We do
Oh,
promise
okay.
our audience that at the end of the hour, but just to like give it like to
We'll
close
get
up
back
on it
to it.
actually. Just to close up on it, actually, it's really this thing of like of what I was just sharing earlier was just because I see the path or just because I'm on a certain journey myself, and that's the blessing. I invited blessing into my life, and
Hmm.
I'm on this path, and I'm on this path of growth, and I'm on this path of everything. I have to respect everybody else who are on their path, no matter if I'm a coach, no matter if I'm just your friend, no matter if I'm your parent, no matter if I'm your teacher, no matter who I am. Part of going down this road, this and I tell this to a lot of people. Actually, I'm gonna tie it in over here. We do have a workshop that we speak about it. It's called Becoming Exceptionally Irresistible, or the BEI workshop. It's every second Tuesday of every month. We invite everybody. It's a free workshop. It's 1 hour where we basically talk about, how to go from that struggle to that thriving life. So when we have this struggle,
Fantastic.
when we have this hardship, there's one of two ways to go. Either you fall into that dysfunction, what we call the captivity of our mental prisons, or we could invite that blessing in, that freedom, that living that great life. And then when you're living that great life, you're growing and you're building to that idea of, like what we were sharing, that big massive levels of success, and that's ongoing. And this thriving component, like you were sharing earlier, is something that I have to earn every day, because if I don't take the steps of thriving, I will fall back. Now, either, like, hopefully you're falling back just to that good, freedom life because you've done the work, but you could also very easily fall into that, that captivity mode again. And so the idea here is that in this journey, and we tell this to people as well, whoever comes into this journey with us, we tell them, listen, part of it and the difficulty of it is that we have to respect everybody at their level in their journey. And sometimes I could see something where you're blinded to, but I have to allow you to allow your journey organically come into you. And that's part of, accepting the fact that recovery has its plus sides in it, or, this kind of, like, when you're growing, it has its plus side and it has its negative side. And part of that negative side is just being aware that, sometimes I see something, that is I'm going to try my best to be there to support you, to help you, to be there for you and to ask the right questions and to, do all that stuff. But if you're not seeing it, there's nothing I could do about it. And I'm just going to still be there for you regardless. And so this workshop really talks a lot about that and how that ties in. So anybody watching, please join us. It's free, absolutely free. YirmiKirkus.com, BEI, Becoming Exceptionally Irresistible, the workshop. So that's the website. That's where you could join us. And I think it's the 9th, August the 9th is the next one. Beata, we would love to have you there as well. It would be incredible.
That sounds fantastic.
But yeah, so that really, it really ties up our show. This is what we have for everybody today. We will have a follow-up show, by the way, on this one, because this is towards the end of our show. Next week, we have a massive guest for you all. Massive. Like, this is for us, this is like the culmination. Like, Bata and all the other ones were just beyond incredible, but we really went after, the top, and we went after the man himself, Bob Berg. Bob Berg is going to be here next week. So this is a show you don't want to miss. It's going to be our culmination show. Bob Berg is showing up, the Go-Giver himself, the man who wrote Go-Giver. He's unbelievable. He's incredible. And it's really going to tie all this up. And a couple of weeks from now, we're going to have a tie-up show where we're going to show you what this whole thing was all about. What were these 25 shows? What was this buildup? What is it for? Right? And all of you have already heard that this is just our foundational show, because season 2 is coming with so much incredible stuff coming at you that are going to be practical steps of how you can actually apply everything you've learned and everything, Baruch and I have to share into your every single day life and your business, and your everything could be thriving, could be full of blessings. So once again, Beata, thank you so much for being this huge blessing, huge light in our show. This is like we're coming to the crescendo right now, and we're so glad that you were part of that crescendo. We're super excited. Beata, you are just beyond incredible. So
thank you so much. So much value was added tonight, and I know I'm taking home a lot of it. So I'm extremely grateful for that, and I know that the audience loved it as well.
I appreciate you guys so much. I'm incredibly grateful to be in the show. Thank you so much for having me. I am a huge fan. I want to be all over your workshops and clubhouses. I'm definitely checking in on the clubhouse tomorrow.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
See you soon.
Good night, everybody. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.